So with your issue on the neck, okay, now you have some joint pain. Well, number one, metabolically, your diet's great. You have a good omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, meaning the healthy anti-inflammatory omega-3 fats are relatively in check with the more pro-inflammatory omega-6 fats. We want to be 1-to-1 or at least 4-to-1, meaning 4 times omega-6 to 1 time omega-3. That's going to be pretty good. That's really helpful. It's going to be a lot of the refined grains and processed vegetable oils that are going to be overly high in those omega-6s. And if you're doing lots of grain-fed meat, you'll maybe higher in the omega-6s as well. So good high-quality animal products will really balance that omega-3 to 6 out. Good high-quality fish oil, cod liver oil, and or animal products is going to really provide that good balance. And that kind of sets the overall milieu up from a fatty acid standpoint, and then just keeping inflammation down via food. And that could be just a general paleo template is an adequate first step, meaning keeping out the grains, maybe keeping out a lot of the conventional dairy, the high casein dairy, right? Maybe the exceptions are butter and ghee. Keeping out a lot of the refined sugar, right? Soft drinks, a lot of the processed sugar really is going to increase inflammation. So from a food standpoint, metabolic standpoint, those are kind of first line approach to keep that inflammation in your body down.
Yeah. And people listening may be like, well, that's the same thing you always say, paleo template. And the answer is, yeah, that's exactly right. But we have to make sure that we state that, because you could say that you go eat at Chipotle, and which I have done. And if I go to Chipotle, I'll see a lady behind me in line, and she gets a burrito covered in so much queso, you can't even see the meat. It's literally just rice, queso, and then a little sprinkle of chicken. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not good. So now, does it taste good? Yeah, queso is delicious, but is it going to be good for your joint pain or inflammation? Definitely not.
Yeah, and there's going to be hundreds of new listeners coming in every week. So we kind of have to be a little bit redundant so people can kind of come in and grab that initial foundation wherever they're at in their journey. So there's going to be some redundancy there. Also, sometimes that's not enough. Some people who have autoimmunity, right? Sometimes these pains could be even of autoimmune origin, where there's some kind of a fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue thing. And a lot of the pain is indiscriminate. It's just randomly in different spots throughout the body, right? It's called central allodynia, where the pain is more neurological, not because you slept on your neck wrong, but just because the inflammation and the autoimmunity is so high, everything is inflamed without a known etiology. So there's more of a central allodynia, neurological, autoimmune-based pain, and sometimes an autoimmune template's even more important, where nightshades may be a problem. The alpha-solanines in the nut seeds, or the alpha-solanines in the tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, and peppers, which are the nightshades, or even the sensitivity to any plant foods, or even the butter or ghee or eggs or nuts, that may be enough to throw them over the top. So sometimes the diet has to be even more restrictive.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily forever. Some people may get down and they're like, okay, I'm eating, 10 foods. This is super boring, but sometimes that's required. And then of course, the whole time we're working backwards, you're working with us to get to the root causes. So if it's a mold issue or Lyme, Lyme is something, or mycoplasma, you could have all these different joint pains and you think it's something in your diet. But, my wife, it's been 5 years ago now, she had major joint pain and we couldn't figure it out. Her diet
Yeah,
was
she saw
perfect.
me, right? Remember you came and you're
Yep.
like, hey, she's got all these joint issues. I'm like, is there anything that you can, and then we ran a test for mycoplasma and it came back positive, and we started doing natural treatments for mycoplasma, and the joint pain got so much better. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that MDL panel was a game changer. You're like, hey, I've got this panel here. It's a bunch of different Lyme and co-infections, but it also looks at some weird stuff that most people don't look at, like mycoplasma. I knew nothing about mycoplasma at the time. And, besides that it was basically a bacteria that could cause different issues, I didn't know that it could literally cause you to have pain in every single joint at the same time. So we had done the fish oil. We did everything we could from the diet nutrition perspective, and she was still miserable. So it wasn't until we added in specific herbs, like we added in astragalus and cat's claw. I believe those were our two miracle workers. And within a week or two, she was basically cured. So
I think we
yeah,
added in cordyceps too, didn't we?
I don't remember,
Maybe.
but I
But
would
yeah, I
just say,
know we
yeah.
did those too.
But yeah, I would just say I'm eternally grateful for you educating me on that panel. And then of course, what would be the best solution to gain the upper hand on these things? Because your doctor down the road, they don't have a clue. They're not going to suggest mycoplasma. They're going to suggest a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, and then you're going to get put on a prescription, and everyone misses the root cause. I don't know why it's so revolutionary to say, find the root cause. It seems very basic to me.